a segment where I pitch a topic to content creators and start a conversation, and you guys either create content or you go ahead and leave a comment either on this or one of the hot topic videos that I post. I have a whole playlist on my channel. D.A. Bell. The pitch was, do you guys think traditional publishing is obsolete in this day and age? So first he starts off by saying, he has a bit of a thread here, so we'll go through it piece by piece. First he starts off, he says, it's not obsolete, period. So rather, TradPub needs a major change. In-house editors are overworked. A lot of authors are overlooked because publishers want a guaranteed bestseller that has potential for a Hollywood film. I'm not in the industry myself, so I'm not 100% sure on the accuracy of these claims, but I would say that, you know, it would make sense. Probably, I would assume that in the publishing industry, they probably use a lot of interns for stuff as well. So like college, all you English grad students out there, that's probably what you have to look forward to as far as any type of career path. A lot of authors overlooked because publishers want a guaranteed bestseller. I have heard that from people who are in the industry. It's not like back in the day, like how people would you'd send out your query letters, or you'd find yourself an agent to represent you and they would handle that for you. And it's just a yes or no based on your manuscript itself, or at least your pitch, or in order to get like a full request from a publishing house. But now it's not just that. It's not just based on the merit of your work, but also maybe leans more towards your following. Social media has kind of like, it's like a blessing and a curse in that regard. So it's like they almost want you, it's like a prerequisite, what I've heard for a lot of these publishing companies, is for you to have like a built-in readership. You have to be bringing your own audience, so to speak, to the house. So what I've argued is like, okay, well then what's the point then? Why, you know, if I can build up a readership on my own, then what the hell is the publishing house doing for me? That's where I would negotiate in my deal. Like, I think that like a lot of people get this like allure of being published. They get so caught up in the allure of being a published author, meaning published by like one of the big five or whatever. And it like goes to their head where they think that that's like equals accreditation and that equals status and all these like accolades, even though it has nothing to do with awards. Sure, you could be nominated for certain awards by being published by, you know, being a part of the good old boys club. But the thing about it is people forget that you're negotiating a deal, and you get sucked into that allure of being like, I'm going to be somebody now that I'm published, you know, I'm a part of the club now. You get screwed over in the contracts, and people don't have the gumption or the guts or maybe even the know-how to like negotiate these deals. And they just like willing to like just go ahead and sign over rights without even like pushing for anything. And that's one thing that I would say that I'd be negotiating right out the gates. I don't care about being published by a big five. I think that the people that are most worried about being published by the big five are one of two camps. One, it's like, I think it can be like a goal, yes. And people would find it that there's a certain prestige that goes along with it because of the difficulty of it. But really the difficulty of it is just, it's challenging for the sake of being challenging. You know, what do you get besides the challenge is what I'm asking. Because you can do everything yourself, including the marketing, including the publishing. There's plenty of distributors out there that you can find on your own. And you can even hire independent editors to work on your projects for you. So you can handle everything on your own. So I think that maybe time might be an issue as well. So a lot of people who don't have a lot of time to do these things on their own, they might want the help of a big publisher. However, in that same vein, you're also sitting on your manuscript for however long, you're spending a lot of time sending out these querying letters and querying these folks and receiving rejection after rejection after rejection, instead of just go ahead and getting down to business from the get-go and doing a little bit here, a little bit there. And over time, you're getting one goal leads to another and you're getting things done. And before you know it, you have more than one work published under your name, and you're just getting down to business to where you get to the next step. First step, have something published. Second step, then start going out there, start networking with people, rubbing elbows with other creators and writers and whatnot, doing collaborations, and you're working on your marketing game, working on your advertising game. And I think that a lot of people believe that if you get a big time publishing deal, that's just going to be it. Like, you've made it after that, and there's no work after that. And that's just, I keep hearing from so many people that are actually involved in the industry that that's not the case. Let's go on here. Let's move on to the next point here. D.A. Bell, he goes on to say, the future of traditional publishing will be smaller publishers. I do have a point to make about that. It says, just as we're seeing with films, people go to the theaters for blockbusters like superhero films. At home, they enjoy rom-coms and such on a streaming service. The future of traditional publishing will be smaller publishers. I do agree with that. And I do think that like, what sets the big publishers apart, really the only difference between the big publishers and the smaller indie publishers is twofold, I believe. And it's that one, the big one, and the elephant in the room that, people might not want to admit, is money. So when people say that they're trying to be, I think at the heart of it is like, people want to sign a deal with a big publisher because they think that that's going to make them rich, or they're going to get a big payday out of the deal, which could be true. You may get an advance, what would be known as an advance, when you sign your contract, but you have to look at the fine print. You have to get lawyers involved. You have to know that whether or not that advance might have to be paid back to some degree, if your book is a flop. And then after that, that's just book number one. So then if book number one flops and you have signed a 3-book deal, well, they might not even want a second book out of you. They might, there might be little conditions in the contract that say, they can cancel the contract if, given the results or whatever. There's all these different things. So negotiation, I'd say anybody who's going to sign on with any publisher, whether it be big or an indie publisher, you want to have developed at least some negotiation skills, and know what it is that you're getting yourself into, and educate yourself on the types of contracts that are out there. So I say, I do this on my own. I don't write to get rich. I don't write to make money. Would that be nice? Yeah, I think anybody would like to be able to earn a living from what they enjoy doing. And writing is a joy for me, but it's not something that I do for money. And I think that anybody who wants to become a writer in order to make a living, I think that they're becoming a writer for the wrong reasons. That's just my personal opinion. However, there are easier ways to make a living as a writer than writing fiction, and that's writing copy is what I would suggest if you want to make money. What do you got, Rainer? The institution-backed legitimacy facade will probably still be there in the future. Not sure about Obsolete since I've never got the experience. Fair enough. And yeah, I mean, it really is, it boils down. It used to have some sort of prestige. is what I'm saying. Like the whole, like, I got published. And now this isn't to take away from anyone's goal. Like if you make it a goal, a personal goal of yours to get a piece of work accepted by a publishing house, by especially what, like one of the big five or something like that, and you attain that goal, then good on you. You know, I'm not trying to spit in your soup here, as far as that goes. But I'm just saying, from a pragmatic standpoint, it's just not the same as it used to be. There's not that certain prestige, if you will, attached to that. And especially as the stigma, because it's twofold. For one, you have the facade of there being automatic prestige just because you get published by like a big five mainstream publishing house. But then there's also the facade of there being a stigma attached to indie publishing or self-publishing that is actually going away in this day and age as well. It's like people are becoming more and more accepting of indie publishers and self-publishing because of the amount of tools that are available and resources that are available. Someone just, the last time I was talking about this hot topic, someone would bring up the fact that a lot of indie labels out there, like small pub and indie pub labels out there, are producing work that is on the same par, right on par with a lot of the mainstream publishers, if not exceeding them. It says, tying it together, the change in the publishing industry can be a good thing with smaller and self-pub publishers putting out books you wouldn't normally read in a Tor or Penguin house. The problem will always be not having enough time to read them all. Sure. I think with that last part, it's like I say, the indie scene, the underground scene, all hands on deck effort as far as that goes. It requires like shows like this and other people, content creators out there, especially in like booktube realm of YouTube, starting to be more accepting of independently published works. And this, through these networks that we ourselves, it's a peer-to-peer, it's no longer Hollywood idolatry type of celebrity, this celebrity type of thing. Take that mindset, throw it out the window. It's now a peer-to-peer community, and it's network based, where it's like people just interacting with each other in this scene, and we build our own networks. By getting out there, and people taking the time to put themselves out there, make connections, interact with people online. Like, what the hell is the point of social media if we can't talk to each other, if we can't collaborate with each other, if we can't organize together? You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't get sucked into the social media game, the social media numbers game, where people think that this is a competition. Trust me, there's plenty to go around. Don't get sucked into the numbers game and thinking that this is a competition. I personally think that's a trap set by the technocrats, if you want to look at it that way. But it's only a trap if you let it be a trap. What we could be doing is organizing together when we say, okay, you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. However, anytime I have something new that can be talked about, I could share it with you, I could share it with them, I could share it with all these different folks that I've made connections with online. And it's literally nothing for me personally to come on here every Monday night and I mention something that you guys may be working on, something that you guys have. And it takes a little tiny bit of effort on my part, but at the same time, it's not even like I'm going out of my way. Why? Because it provides me with content to talk about. So I can come on here, I have things to talk about during my stream, but at the same time, I help you guys with your projects and we build these types of networks. So I think at the end here where he says the problem will always be not having enough time to read them all. Sure. And I can understand that from a consumer standpoint. So where I was going with all that is like from the consumer standpoint, the consumer is going to be like for the past, however many, we're talking generations at this point, multiple generations of people have been programmed to consume media in a particular kind of way. So the mainstream has kind of groomed the consumer, the general consumer mindset to basically just accept whatever the mainstream media spoon feeds them as quality content, quality as being of the utmost quality. And anything that comes from the underground, anything that is labeled as independent has this stigma attached to it. And I think it's going to take an all hands on deck approach where it's people like myself and other creators out there coming together, organizing and presenting the general public with these products from the underground scene, from the independent scene, so that people can see what's out there, because perhaps they don't have the time to go out and do the research and sift through a lot of what's out there in the market and looking for those rare gems. And that's why I say it's all hands on deck, because it requires content creators, people out there, reviewers, people reviewing what's going on out there in the indie scene and talking about it, having conversations and showing off these projects. And I think that will kind of help in terms of shaping the way people consume media and kind of destroy that stigma that used to come along with anything that was out of the independent scene or coming out of the underground. So thanks for sharing that, DA.